Hello, hello. Thanks for dropping in, everyone. You've reached Positive Vibes with Ariel, healing body, mind, and soul for a better world. Our wonderful guest today is Rachel Heslin, and we are so excited to explore with her the fullness of your power. And we were talking just before we hit record on the podcast today that we would love to talk about rituals of release. So serendipitously, welcome Rachel Heslin.
Hello, Ariel. I am delighted to be here.
Awesome, awesome. Now, I wanted to let all of our listeners know that the way that we got in connection was with RHG Network. I was one of the panelists on the Speaker Talent Search, and I just loved your energy, and I just loved what you had to say. And I'm all, that is a speaker that I would really, really love to share with our healing body, mind, and soul audience. So thank you so much for taking time out of your day to check in with us. Now you were saying that you were in the mountains. Why don't you let's check in with that. Tell us where you're at, Rachel. Say hi
I
to our audience.
I am in the mountains of Southern California, and it's kind of funny because we moved here when some friends said, "Well, let's get together, just a group of us to rent a cabin for a weekend and play games, and it would be fun." And then they ended up buying a weekender, and then they bought it. They moved up here full time, and then we moved here, and then our friends moved here. And one of the things that I love about it is it really pushed my ideas of what might be possible. I mean, when my
Mm,
husband when he brought up the idea of, well, let's move there, I'd really like it. I started thinking about all the practical, well, there are no jobs there, we can't really do that. And then we started looking for homes and didn't really like the energy of where we were. It was a very urban environment, and it wasn't where we wanted to raise a family ourselves.
mm.
So this became a leap of faith for us.
Oh, I
And the
love that.
house we moved into, it was almost like it was waiting for us. And
Nice.
I've never looked back.
I love that. That's wonderful. Now you are getting my metaphysical juices percolating here, Rachel. And something that you hit a chord with me because as a practitioner, especially like I was like, oh, I have to have my healing center. Like all good light workers, I had my big vision of my healing center. Been there, done that. Got best in Silicon Valley. Been there, done that. And then expanded to the day spa. Been there, done that. Checked all the boxes. Even as a day spa and being really the metaphysical sort of natured spa that I was doing quite well. But now, having downsized, I used to have a belief, Rachel, that I was not able to move to a place in Northern California that I love
Yeah.
because there was not enough traffic. But now, as an author and as doing my creation on YouTube, I found that I can really do both things. Right? I can
Yeah.
be in the beautiful location like you are. So you really you've already inspired me. So ding ding, we're hitting all the boxes. I did used to have that belief. I love now that everybody's pivoting and finding out what they really want to do and following their true passion because they're plugged in,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
And they are embodying their mission, right?
One of my
What was the moment when you said we got to get out of Dodge and go to
Yeah.
somewhere that's really
Well,
nice?
it really, my husband was definitely a really big factor because he was so
Mm,
passionate about wanting more.
I see.
He, I am one of my greatest strengths that is one of those strengths that it can be a weakness if it goes too far, is acceptance. And it a
Mm.
lot of times I would just go with things, and is when acceptance moved into tolerance. And it's like, well, it's okay. It is the way it is. And my husband would say, it may be that way, but that's not okay. I want better. And having that, being able to balance the acceptance of what is now, fueled by the desire to continue and expand and grow. One of my favorite personal, I guess it's a personal mantra, whenever I feel myself becoming constricted and stuck in little boxes, is what else might be possible? Which
Mm.
recognizes it's not my job to come up with all the answers. It's my job to think of better questions. And in fact, another thing that I say to people is the mind is an absolutely wonderful tool for coming up with questions, but the best answers come from the heart.
Mm. The answers from the heart. I like that. So you get this nice echo going on in the
Yeah.
consciousness. Nice.
Yeah, and that's what's one of the things you mentioned, the idea of the fullness of your power, which is the
Mm.
name of my company. And what the fullness of your power means to me is we're all kind of run by a committee where we've got different desires and thoughts and beliefs and this and that and the other. And sometimes we feel like we're struggling against ourselves, and part of us
Mm.
wants this, but part of us wants that. And what could we do if we come together, if we let go of all the things that are not actually ours to do, and have that inner partnership with all of these different aspects of ourselves, and really embrace everything that we have to offer, whether it's the head, the heart, mind, body, spirit, all of these different aspects of who we are. And when we come together as a team, we're absolutely unstoppable.
What to do, Rachel, when your United Nations or your inner council or your even your school district, whatever you want to call it,
Yeah.
your household, whatever it is, but that when those energies are discordant or when they're pulling against each other, how to become a better observer or how to become a better peacekeeper in these situations.
Generally, when that happens, that's an indication that there are certain assumptions going on under the surface that assume conflict. What to do in those situations? First of all, is become aware, what is it that you really believe? Case in point, when I was starting my own business, I had a fear that if I had to choose between doing all the things I needed to do to run my business or spending time with people I loved and having fun. And I
Mm.
thought these two things were an either or. So I looked at them. It's like, well, what if that's not true? Again, what else might be possible? And what if we shifted that and started looking at the possibility? What if the more that I'm in tune with those things that I love and enjoy, being with the people I love, supporting them, what if that gives me more energy? What if being more playful gives me more energy, and then for makes it easier to do the things I need to do to run my business? And once you shift from an assumption of conflict to an understanding that we actually do want the same thing, we want to be fully realized and manifested in all of our expressions of glory. And then it's just a matter of figuring out, okay, how can we do this in a way that's organic and supportive, and leads to a better life for everyone.
Mm. The greatest good for all.
Yes.
Yeah. I wish everybody put that statement, sort of like the fortune cookie, when you get the
Yeah.
fortune cookie and you add the the little bonus, the greatest
Uh-huh.
good for all,
Well,
right?
I have to say, one of the things is a lot of people don't know what they don't know. They don't even realize that it doesn't have to be a conflict, because so much of our world is is framed in that paradigm, either or, single pie, there's only so much to go around, the scarcity. That is what we're taught is the way the world works, and we don't realize that that's just a perspective. That's not truth. And what we need to do is become aware of those assumptions and then start questioning them and look at, again, what else might be possible.
Hmm. Juicy. So, Rachel, how can our listeners on Healing Body, Mind, and Soul get hold of you if they would like to have a conversation with you about how they can more fully embody their presence and power?
I would highly recommend just visiting my website, which is thefullnessofyourpower.com. I have articles on there, different podcast interviews, resources, and they can even reach out to me directly if you want to talk about stuff, because I like people.
What would you be doing this? Would you be doing a
Oh,
podcast if you didn't
goodness.
like people? Would you be reaching out and
I
would you?
think people are so cool. I just,
They are. They are. I'm glad. It's so nice to have a positive outlook, and I love that you followed your inkling and your husband's inkling. Good teamwork, by the way.
oh, yes.
Yeah, good teamwork, and made that move for yourself. And what I heard and underlying, I heard when I was listening to your story, I was thinking how nice. Your community came together, and it sounds like a very organic and harmonious process. And attracting a nice community like that sounds just lovely. So remember, everybody, to reach out to Rachel if you would love to explore the fullness of your own power, your own presence, and your own self mastery. Rachel, do you have any super tips to any of our audience members who might be leaning in at this point?
If there's one thing, I've got I've actually got two, one to think and one to do. The
Oh,
one to think is remember that you matter. As a person, who you are has inherent value because you are the only you that there is. And the one thing I'd like to leave you with is to remember to breathe. This is so basic, and we get so caught up in our heads and got to do this, and here's the checklist and all these things, that sometimes we just need to take a moment and say, okay, hold on. Just pull a breath down as far into your belly as possible, and then just release it. And do that 3 times and sink into just being. And from that place of a little more calm, it'll be easier to figure out what's next.
beautiful. Beautiful, those calming breaths. I have to tell you, I'll got really, really quick story, Rachel.
Yeah.
I have to tell you that recently I've started going to Pilates class. I had never
Yeah.
done the Pilates reformer. and I'm a body worker and energy worker. And I actually have a really long time client who came to see me, and I'm like, "What have you done? Like, what have you're fabulous. What did you do?" He said, "I did 3 Pilates classes." I'm like, "In 3 Pilates classes, you've done miracles with your work, and I've been working on this body for quite a long time. It's a very old client of mine. So I signed up for myself because I'm like, oh, this is exactly what I need. This is the time. This is the moment. So I went and did that. I feel great, but that self-awareness. And I noticed what was so funny that I had my body calibrated. The awareness is coming back in my body, and sometimes the way that you think that you're breathing, or the way that you intellectualize
Mm.
that you're doing something, is not actually how you're executing the task. And I noticed that I'm like a 5-year-old in my Pilates class. I'm like kind of out of sync, and I just find that I'm like a body worker, and I was a little bit
Yeah.
out of sync with my body. So it's beautiful. Just a reminder to have a sense of humor and to try
Oh,
something new, everybody.
oh, yes. I am a big fan of compassion and yeah, sense of humor. If you don't have that, life gets a lot more difficult.
Amen, amen. Rachel, you are a breath of fresh air. Thank you so much for bringing your powerful energy onto Positive Vibes with Ariel, healing body, mind, and soul. And thank you so much. You've got such a beautiful presence, and I love your backdrop and your beautiful story of how you moved to that dream spot for yourself, and I hope that everybody is getting the undercurrent here. And I'm starting to think that maybe I'll look up the realtor that I used to know in the area. So I'm starting
Yes.
to think that that is a great message for me today. So I want to thank you so much for your time today. Remind everybody of your website so that we can get that one more time.
It is thefullnessofyourpower.com.
Thank you so much. It's been great having you. Don't forget, everybody, to reach out. All of the social media network information is in the show notes. And thank you, Rachel. You were beautiful on the speaker talent search. So much. Thank you so much for sharing your presence with the world. Okay,
Thank you.
everybody. Until next time, this is Ariel signing off. This is Positive Vibes with Ariel. Stay tuned. We are going to be talking about our self mastery journal and self mastery oracle card set coming right up. So stay tuned for that. Thanks, Rachel.
Yes.